And welcome, Raising a Game. Today, I'm David Levin. This is our Friday episode, so we're talking about the inner game of life. Tuesdays are for the mental game of sports and competition. Fridays are for the rest of our lives. So how are you this week? I hope you are doing well. I hope the market crash isn't freaking you out too much. Hard not to be concerned, but lots of other things to be concerned about too, and maybe even more worrying, honestly. Things are pretty good here. Weather's been a bit chilly, but the week ahead looks nice. Of course, I measure everything now by whether it's good scooter weather or not. Not quite there, but looks like it's coming soon. That'll make me very happy. And nice to know that there are happy things ahead. Not always feeling that way, right? Plenty to talk about this week. Trump's big market crash following his tariffs. The big hands-off protest this past week. RFK Jr.'s response to the measles outbreak, plus other public health lunacy. Laura Loomer somehow dictating national security staffing. Some wild new corruption activities and assorted Republican nastiness. A great perspective shift to help us feel better about our lives, just in general. The many benefits of strength training and some new and updated recommendations. All right, we'll start with ups and downs. So what gave me a lift this week and what things are pulling me down? The first up is that Margaret and I went to the big hands-off protest this past week. Francis wanted to come too, but had other commitments. We went with a couple other friends as well. We were in La Crosse, Wisconsin, about 45 minutes away. La Crosse has maybe 50,000 people total. That's our big city nearby. We probably had a good 1,000 at this protest, maybe even more. It's hard to estimate. But it was impressive, and we were very glad to be there. Made some protest signs this time. It's all new to us. But it felt like a good thing to do, and nationwide millions of people came out. And you can wonder about the impact of something like that, but it makes a real difference, especially over time. It lets people know we're paying attention, we're seeing what they're doing, and we're ready and willing to push back, gives other people permission to step up themselves. It was an interesting experience, too. One thing you couldn't help notice, most people driving by were honking in support. But now and then, there would be some Trump people who just wanted us to know they disapproved for some reason. And that's fine, of course, that's what we do in America. But it's funny to note that the way they do that, and this is very consistent, is by revving their engines, spewing exhaust, squealing their tires. You get the impression that the Venn diagram of Trump supporters and people who are really into internal combustion engines is basically a circle, right? If you see noticeably loud trucks and cars, probably MAGA folks. One guy, this was so funny. He had this beautiful classic hot rod. It really was a beautiful car. Younger guy, seemed like he pulled up to the light. I was actually admiring his car, but then noticed that he was flipping people off left and right, just gleefully proud of himself. Very mature. So his car is rumbling away, he's flipping people off. All of a sudden it stalls. The whole crowd starts laughing at him, which he totally deserved. He was being an asshole, for sure. So then he restarted his car and spent the next minute waiting for the light, just revving it up, making as much noise as possible. And it was loud. He just kept going, vroom, 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 like that was making a point somehow. Such a child. I mean, really. As he drove away, all I could think was, what must it be like for the women in his life? He must be a total asshole to be around. And you do start to generate a bit of a stereotype about MAGA folks. Another pair of trucks came by later, waving their big Trump flags, hanging out the window, big bellies, being obnoxious. Just sort of cliched white trash vibe, honestly. And a big part of the feeling I get from the MAGA crowd, not all of it, but a big part, seems like it's people like this who are less and less valued and successful in society, less opportunity for them, harder to have a good life. And I totally get that that would create resentment. I really do. Why should we not be able to have what our parents did? But their solution seems to be to somehow just take things back to the past when they naturally had more opportunity simply because they were white guys in America. And again, I get it, but it just doesn't work like that. You can't go back. The problem is really about the nature of work, how we do things now, what needs to be done, what skills are valuable, and all that literally can't go back. Anyway, it was very interesting, and overall we're very happy we did it, and I imagine there'll be more to come. The next up was a fundraiser for our daughter's high school called Loose Lips. It's a lip sync competition, and it was just the best night of entertainment you could have. It really was. Impressive acts, consistently high quality, great costumes, funny, fun, energetic. Our daughter was in one of the acts. They did a Backstreet Boys song that's still stuck in my head. That was super fun too. They put a lot of work into it, and they did win one of the awards. That was also fun. But just an amazing night all around. Definitely got a lift from that. The last item, I've been talking about this new marketing program I've been working through. Finally took the Facebook ad campaign live this week, and it's off to a great start. It's remarkable, really, how much work goes into something like this now that it's all done. So many details and pieces to think through and put together. And I already know how to do it, right? I've been doing this kind of work for years now, but still, starting from scratch, putting it all together, incorporating the ideas in the training. It's a lot. I've been working for it for, I think, over a month now. But it's up and running, and so far, super early, but it's looking good. And that feels pretty great. But it's also a little stressful because all that work could still end up not working, right? So this is an up and a down for this week. The whole idea of the course is that you can put together a system, they call it a marketing funnel, that'll bring in new people who will ultimately buy what you're offering at a rate that is consistently profitable so you can keep doing it. But coming up with something that people are interested in for free does not necessarily mean they will automatically be interested in your paid offering. And that's where funnels tend to fail. Bottom line, it is still a little stressful. As I said, I'm checking the ad stats way more than makes any sense. It's great that it's up and running, and the early signs are good, but it also creates a pretty big mental distraction. And that's just a classic down, right? Anyway, fingers crossed, we shall see about that. And that's ups and downs for this week. Next up, top stories. The big story, of course, this week is the continued fallout from Trump's stupid tariffs. The market crashed. Seemed like it was going to keep going. Our personal retirement account was down about a third, which is not nothing when you're planning to retire in 4 months. And this was over just like 3 days. It was really shocking. Biggest drop since the pandemic. And that's really something to think about. The pandemic was a once-in-a-lifetime natural disaster that was basically forced on us, right? This was just the whim of one guy. One person caused all this to happen for no good reason. And does he care? Not much. Certainly not for the people it's hurting. On the day it's happening, he is golfing, of course, and saying to people, be cool. Don't be weak and stupid. Like for real, telling his own people, if you are freaking out about this, you are weak and stupid. Literally, he coined a new phrase, the panicking party, for people who are panicking. They are weak and stupid. That's how much empathy he has for really anybody. He has none. And he says, during all this, he's saying absolutely, positively, no way he's changed his mind. These new tariffs, they're there for good. 1 day later, guess what? Changed his mind. Suspends most of the tariffs. By the way, corruption alert, he posted a suggestion for people to buy stocks like 2 hours before he lifted the tariffs. And there was a conspicuous spike in stock orders just a few minutes before the announcement. What are the chances no one in his orbit, or even he himself, bought stocks just before this announcement, knowing from him that the market was about to go back up? It's got to be near zero. So this is classic illegal insider trading. There's no chance that didn't happen. Too bad we don't have a functioning Justice Department who might investigate such things. But he suspends most of the tariffs. The market shoots back up, biggest single day gain, I think decades, though still not nearly back to where it was. And he acts like he's done a great thing. I heard it was the biggest gain ever, like he's looking for praise and credit for that. I do something stupid, the markets crash, I change my mind, they bounce back part way. Look how smart I am for creating this big bounce. The guy is just not capable of rational thought or understanding cause and effect or accepting responsibility for anything. This is interesting, too, on the subject of empathy. I was reading one of the traits of a malignant narcissist is that they actually take pleasure in others' suffering. There's this sadistic element to being a malignant narcissist. And you can hear that in him when he talks. Because of the power he has, he can make people grovel, whole countries grovel. And then he relishes in how weak they are when they do. He's genuinely sick and also happens to be our president. Good job, voters of America. So anyway, markets come back, yay. But then, hang on. They fall again the next day. Why might that be? Here's something I didn't know. I don't really get stocks and bonds and markets and all that very well. But apparently, normally when stocks go down, bonds go up because people who fear the market's dropping move their money into bonds where it's more safe and stable. In this case, as our markets were crashing, our bonds were crashing too. This had some traders I saw truly freaked out, like this could actually mean the financial system was about to collapse. If people start shifting their money away from the U.S. altogether, rather than from one U.S. asset to another, we are in serious trouble. So it only makes sense that even though the broad tariffs were suspended, the general worry and uncertainty of having a mad toddler in charge who could throw another tantrum at any time might mean people would still want to move their money out of the U.S. to be safe. Anyway, we'll see about that. There were also plenty of other troubling items this week, of course, as usual. Honestly, many of them actually more concerning when you think about them. The measles outbreak keeps growing and is almost certain to being underreported. They're saying 500 cases now, and the second child died this week. But given the typical rate of infection and fatality, the number of cases should be closer to 2,000 or 3,000. And of course, if it's underreported, it's also not being fully addressed, and it's likely to get a whole lot worse. Speaking of RFK Jr., he did come out this week and say the most effective way to prevent the spread of the disease is the MMR vaccine. And he went to the funeral of an 8-year-old girl who had died from it. That sounds like progress from him. But then, right after, he is again pushing alternate treatments, steroids, vitamin A, actively promoting vaccine deniers and quacks. No one should be surprised if this keeps getting worse. Also, RFK Jr., he said 20% of the DOGE cuts at NIH, the firings there, were a mistake. They've cut top people from funding, from critical programs all over the country. Zero chance we don't see bad results from that at some point. Also, he's ordered the CDC to no longer recommend cities add fluoride to their water. It's estimated fluoride in water reduces cavities by 25%. So we want more cavities? What's the benefit there, really? Big layoffs have been announced at Whirlpool and Stellantis, former Chrysler. Trump says he's promoting manufacturing, but in fact he's hurting it in every way. Laura Loomer, the truly crazy right-wing conspiracy nut, had a meeting in the Oval Office with Trump, accusing some of his top NSA staff of not being loyal enough, as if that was the important qualification for the job. But also, what does she know about it in the first place? Nothing. And who in their right mind would let her anywhere near the Oval Office? But Trump loves her because she'll say anything for him. So she trashes these NSA leaders. Next day, they're all fired. Is that making us safer? They sent a note to something like 200,000 Ukrainians who are living here in the U.S. legally, saying you got to leave now. But it turns out the note was a mistake. Oops. They closed the office that gives low-income people help with heating. Now, summer's coming, but still, it wasn't a short-term cut. Who is that helping? What are they supposed to do? They closed an office that supports veterans who are having trouble paying their mortgage. So we want more homeless vets now? Is that who we are? Trump signed an executive order directly and publicly requesting investigations of 2 former officials for having the gall to say that the 2020 election was free and fair, not rigged. He called their statements potentially treasonous and a violation of the Espionage Act. They were just stating facts in their realm of expertise. Purely protected free speech. The president doing that is the one who's acting unconstitutionally. This one's sort of funny, not really. Trump, Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, our revered senior law enforcement team, made a big public showing of arresting a guy they said was a senior leader of the MS-13 gang. The worst of the worst, they said. You'll see many more charges coming. Big, tough claims from all of them. Yesterday, no explanation. All charges dropped. They're going to just deport him instead. So where did the case go? Where did all the crimes go? Smaller item, but still pretty bad. Some U.S. soldiers were killed in an accident in Lithuania. As their bodies were being shipped home, the Lithuanian president was there to see them off, honor their service, their sacrifice. When their bodies arrived in the U.S., Trump was not there. Guess where he was? Golfing. Remember, he doesn't like being associated with fallen soldiers. He calls them suckers and losers. They make him look bad. By the way, speaking of golf, less than 3 months into his administration, his golfing has already cost taxpayers over $30 million in travel and security. You'd think maybe Doge would like to look into that to save some money. In the dumb category, these guys. Tom Homan, the border czar. He was dead serious about this. He said, quote, "I find it offensive that Taco Bell has items in Mexican, not English," end quote. Are you sure Mexican is a language, for one thing? And what else should you call a burrito? I mean, these are Mexican food items. Were you supposed to make up another name for them? What's he talking about? Stupid, classic, ugly American idiot. Speaking of idiot, no joke, some guy on Fox said he thought Trump's, quote, manly tariffs, whatever that means, could help reverse the current crisis in masculinity. Where do you even start with that? What masculinity crisis? If anything, the crisis is that there's too much old school masculinity. See Pete Hegseth. And even if it were true, what would tariffs have to do with it? I mean, what are they doing? Last one, just to show how inept these clowns are in the big ways and the small ways. So you're the President of the United States. Everything you do from the Oval Office is important and significant and even potentially secret, right? Every minute of your day is planned out and needs to be managed in the most professional way possible. So here's what happened. H.R. McMaster, the president's national security advisor in his first term, who has come out against Trump since then, as has basically everyone who ever worked closely with him. And of course, Trump has savaged him since then, as he does anyone who criticizes him. Anyway, H.R. McMaster, he gets a call from the White House. Please hold for the president. Trump comes on, starts talking. It's actually the president. McMaster says, Mr. President, this is H.R. McMaster. Trump blows up. Why the hell would I talk to H.R. McMaster? By the way, not why would I talk to you, speaking in the third person. That's weird. But anyway, he hangs up. So whoever connects phone calls for the president called the wrong person. Just imagine how much more amateur hour stuff is going on over there with these clowns all the time that we'll never hear about. I've said it before, it will take generations to recover from this administration, assume we even can ever get back to where we were. The good news, I suppose, is that it will be great material for the historians of the future. All right, that's Top Stories this week. Reminder, if you enjoy the show, please do take a moment, give us a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to your podcasts. It is a big help in reaching new listeners, so appreciate that very much. Next up, Inner Game Gold. Last week, we talked about the Sam Harris gratitude exercise. I always love that, and gratitude's so helpful. I almost wanted to do it again this week, so I'll just say instead, keep going on that. this week as a second sort of project. Do another one or two gratitude exercises this week. What are you thankful for today? Thankful for right now? That's always helpful and uplifting. But this week, I want to talk again about the idea that you can't want one part of someone's life without wanting all of their life. This might just be for me, because I do tend to have moments like this. I'll hear someone talk about flying private, for example, think, oh, how nice that would be. Or I'll see pictures of these big, beautiful yachts. You get there by helicopter, all the luxury, and think, oh, that must be just so nice, how lovely it must be to live like that. But then I remember that the person I know of who makes that kind of money is traveling all the time, jet-lagged, with strangers, away from home, living what to me would feel like a deeply superficial and disconnected life. It's like all the things you really want and need to feel good about yourself and your life, you're running away from them, right? Chasing things that will never make you feel that way. There's another level too. Even if I had the money to afford renting a yacht for a week for fun, I don't think I could do it. I know for sure Margaret would not let us do it. It costs like $250,000 a week at minimum to rent a yacht like that. It's just obscene to spend that kind of money for just a week of leisure. So again, it's not just that I would have the disconnected life I imagine those people have. I would also have to have a disconnected sense of morals and ethics and humanity compared to where I live internally now. Bottom line, I don't see any way having those things, as attractive as they seem at times, would in reality bring anything but emptiness compared to what the life I have now. So anyway, that's me. But I love the idea in general. I think it must be true for most people that from time to time we covet certain things others have without realizing what we would lose to actually have them. So that's Inner Game Gold. You can't want one part of someone's life without wanting all their life. Now, if you actually do imagine that you would want all of that kind of life, whatever it is, that's great. Go for it. That's excellent clarity. You just don't want to get into a situation where you're chasing something that ends up actually pulling you away from what will actually bring you happiness and fulfillment. All right, that's Inner Game Gold. Next up, raise your outer game. I've skipped this segment for the past couple of weeks because I didn't really have anything I wanted to talk about. But I'm reminded again this week how helpful and how much I enjoy doing strength training. So I thought I would just quick touch on this again in case you need some motivation in that area. First, I really do genuinely enjoy it. The days I get to the gym are the days I feel the best. It's really something. I used to feel that on days when I went for a run, and that might still happen. I'm just not running anymore because I'm playing pickleball instead. But pickleball, as much as I enjoy it, doesn't give me the same feeling. I really can't say why it even happens. I just notice that later in the day, I am filled with a good feeling that I associate with having gone to the gym. There's just some sort of emotional connection between the physical experience and my state of mind later in the day. Also, Margaret this week worked with a personal trainer for I think the first time. And she's pretty active already. She runs regularly, does yoga, does a 7-minute workout. But again, there was something uniquely good about the strength training work, though it did kick her butt a little bit. But you expect that in the beginning. So that's the main thing. Strength training in general just feels great, physically, emotionally, and the things it helps you be able to do. So for specifics, as a reminder, I go to the gym twice a week. I do one circuit, full body, a little bit of everything as far as the muscle groups go. I only do one set of each exercise. I do 15 reps. I don't work to failure, just enough that it feels like a bit of effort near the end. The whole thing takes about 45 minutes, getting there, doing the circuit, getting back home. And to get started, I worked with a personal trainer for a couple sessions with the specific goal of putting together this exact plan. What exercises should I do? How to do them correctly? How much weight to start with? It came together pretty quickly. Over time, the weights have come up a bit, and now they're at a pretty static level. And when there's a week when I have to miss a day or two, I really miss it. I truly dread having an injury or something that would keep me away from it for any length of time. Well, my heart procedure recently kept me away for a month, and that was a real bummer. Anyway, that's it. If you're doing this already, great, keep it up. If you haven't, but maybe not consistently, see if you can get back on it. If there's something about it that isn't working great, making you kind of, not want to go back into it, maybe you've been pushing too hard, or the timing is off, or there's a particular exercise it's not good for you, maybe try some different things. Maybe talk to a trainer again, get some fresh ideas. See if you can't find a balance that works better. And if you're not doing this yet, now is a great time to start. By the way, I love the gym. Margaret's not going to do that, just not comfortable with that. She is getting one of those exercise band systems you can hook over your door. I'll put a link in the notes for that. She'll use that, and we have some hand weights around and maybe a heavy ball that she'll do all of her strength training at home. Point is, there are many ways to do this. I'm sure you can find one that works for you, and I'm equally sure that it'll be a great addition to your life if you do. So there you have it, strength training, however it works for you, or raise your outer game for the week. All right, next up, our challenge of the week. This week, let's do something around strength training. If you're already doing it, great, keep up the good work. If you are, but have slipped, see about getting back on track once or twice this week. If you're not doing it, find a trainer, book a session, ask them to help put together a plan you can do on your own. Strength training might be the single most effective thing you can do to change your emotional state and feel better about yourself and about things in general. And in these crazy times, we all need as many tools as possible that can do that, right? And of course, for your mental game, the Raise Your Inner Game book or Sports Academy for athletes. Also very helpful. RaiseYourInnerGame.com for more on those. All right, next up, highly recommended. I finished the Harlan Coben book, Nobody's Fool. That was very good. Didn't see the end coming. A lot of the twists, actually. Always enjoy that. Started a new book. This is another spy book. I do tend to like those too. This one's called A Spy Alone by Charles Beaumont. Pretty fun. Very British early on, but lots to enjoy there. Enjoying it so far. For music, I haven't listened to this record much yet. I'm not sure I'll end up loving it, to be honest. It's a new record by Elton John and Brandi Carlile. I love both of them. Elton John was, huge for me as a kid, as he was for so many people. Just bigger than life back in the day. But I saw a short documentary on the making of this new record, and he said something that really struck me. You may know his big records back in the day. The lyrics to those songs were written by Bernie Taupin, and they worked together in a way I could never really imagine. Bernie wrote the lyrics on their own with no music in mind, just the words. Elton took the lyrics and wrote songs around them. Kind of blows my mind to think about that. But I think it does explain part of what makes that music so unique. Also, in the later years, when, in my opinion, Elton's records were not as good, he stopped working with Bernie. So there was something in that process and partnership that was especially magical. But Bernie is back for this record, and someone in this documentary asked Elton how he wrote. And this is the part that got me. He said, I read the lyrics, I picture the movie, and I write the score to that movie, end quote. I just thought that was so fantastic. It made so much sense for the music they've made together. Again, I don't think I could ever work that way, but I loved hearing it because it says a lot about the creative process. Every artist finds their own process, and it'll be something immersive and internal like this. I can just imagine him in his head, literally picturing how these scenes would look and feel based on the words, and then how the music that goes with that should sound. It's a great peek into the creative process. For a show, we're still really enjoying The Residents as a family on Netflix. Very smart, funny, having a lot of fun with that. I'm watching The Studio on Apple TV. Also loving that, really roasting the Hollywood culture. It's so brutal, but still somehow making me love the characters, which you get the feeling is what they think too, right? Everyone is completely broken and full of shit, but they still love them because they're trying so hard to do something great. And movies are really hard to make. Anyway, that's fun. I've also started Breaking Bad again. I really started years ago and then stopped when I realized it was going to get so dark. That was the whole concept of that show, to have a main character that started as a good guy and ended up as a bad guy, and that's pretty fascinating. But I didn't want to take that journey into darkness with them at the time. But now that I finished Better Call Saul, I feel like I'm prepared for what's to come, for where they're going to go, and I'm very interested in the characters. So just watch one episode now. Actually, I guess two, but already pretty hooked and looking forward to that. All right, that's highly recommended and our show for this week. Programming note, I'm off next week. Sorry about that, but we are taking a family trip going hiking in Utah. Looking forward to that. Have a great week. Let me know any questions. Otherwise, keep up the good work. I'll see you in 2 weeks.